and our monitor is coming online. It's telling us the CPU or memory has changed. Please enter your system setup. F1 to run setup and F2 to load default values. So we'll just grab our keyboard over here. And hook it into a USB port. And we will press F1. And that brings us to our click BIOS. This particular BIOS you can use your mouse in. You can use your keyboard, your arrows, and your typical settings as such. With this particular BIOS, you can see your temperature here in Celsius. Gives you the date and your version, the time. It tells you the processor that is in it, which is the AMD Phantom 2 quad core 955 processor. It gives you the frequency. It gives you the current RAM, the frequency that it is operating at. Gives you the memory size, and then you can also have your boot, such which drive is going to boot to from. And then you have your ECO mode, your standard mode, and ECO Gen 2 mode, which if you're interested, you can Google that on. The Gen mode is really nice. It's just a simple overclock, push a button, and it goes a relatively easy overclock. I found on this particular board using a 3.2, using that board with a setup similar to this, it gives you about a 3.7 with no headaches. Just push the button and go. Of course, you need to change the settings in the BIOS here for that to work. Now that we have all this done, we'll turn it off. You don't need to worry about, just hitting the on/off button because you don't have Windows or hard drive installed, so it's okay. You're just in the BIOS. You can just hit the button here and turn it off. Alright, so we will take all our power supply cords off here, and we will put it in the case, and I'll show you that build on the next video. Alright, as you can see here, I have removed the power cords on this, and we're going to get ready to install it into our case. First thing that we need to do before we do install the case is put these little brass things, gold looking things, brass looking things, which are standoffs, into the case, because you do not want the motherboard directly touching the case, because that will short the motherboard out and you will not have a usable motherboard, therefore not having a computer. So this is what they are. They're just these. The screw-in bit is just going to go into these little holes here, which they have them every so often in here. Alright, we're putting the screws in the motherboard here to hold it in against the stands here, offsets. And once we get done doing that, we move on to adding the hard drive and the rest of the components. You want to make sure that you don't put these in too tight, hand tight. As soon as it's you have to give it any amount of force that's tight enough, and you can move on to the next screw. One thing you want to keep in mind when doing this is you do not want to use a magnetic screwdriver. That can bring about many bad things for your motherboard. Alright, and now we will install again the video card. I'll have to take out the wrong two, so we'll just move one. Fairly easy, as you can see. On this particular case, to add and remove. Let's take and line that back up, put that back in. We will grab a screw to put in there, and we'll just make that pin tight. And that will hold that into place. Alright, now on this particular case you have many slots here for holding your hard drives. These are very nice. You just pinch and remove these. For your 2.5 drives, it has screw holes on the bottom here. Screw those in, and then for the 3.5, it has screw holes in the sides here to hold those in place if they're not going to be removed often. And to give us more room to work with, we're just go ahead and remove all these. This very top one is probably the most interesting one of them all. This one is the hot swap bay, and I don't know if you can really tell too much, but that is a SATA and power right there. That way you can take one of these and put a hard drive in it and just slip it in and out. There's actually a slot made in the side of the case to go ahead and remove those without having to open up your case each time. And then here's your toolless system here for adding your CD-ROMs and whatever else that you might. If you have a fan cooling system that you're going to install or whatever, just open and click those in and they will stay in place. You don't have to screw them in or anything like that. Very nice and convenient setup here. Alright, so now we'll move on to the next step. We'll go ahead and put in our CD-ROM. So I'll go ahead and put the case up here. First thing we're going to do is we got to remove one of these 3 spots here, and that's